and happy weekend. So we survived another week, and here we are doing our energy read for the week of March 16th to March 22nd. Now, the deck that I'm using is called the Island Time Wellness Love Oracle cards. Now, this deck I've had for a few months, and if you've been following Instagram and Facebook, you have seen me use these. Now, everybody is loving these cards. I got a lot of questions. Where did I get them? What is the deck's name? So I figured, because a lot of people connected with the way that this deck spoke, let's go ahead and use it to take a look at the energy for the coming week. Now, basically, we're going to do this part first, then we're going to take a look at the astro energy for the week that's coming ahead. Now, basically, what's been happening, as we know, it is a little bit chaotic. It is a time that, the collective, we're feeling the fear of the unknown, right? And we need to just get back to the energy of love. Now, a few tips and tricks, because I've been asked this a lot. Basically, if you are suffering anxiety, if your energy is all over the place, do not beat yourself up. In energy work, at least how I was raised and what I do, we don't consider anxiety taboo. We don't consider depression taboo. In fact, there's many psychics, healers, mystics, whatever you want to call yourself, that do suffer from this, because not only are you dealing with your energy, but you're also sensing the energy around you. So an amazing thing that you can do is burning frankincense, right? So we all know that sage clears and destroys negativity. We all know that sounds like clapping and bells cleanses our area. We all know that kind of working with sea salt is another way to cleanse a room, especially when you're placing a jar of sea salt and water in every corner of that particular room. But another thing that people maybe not know, and it's an older witchcraft kind of way that I wanted to share, is burning frankincense. Frankincense has the ability to kind of calm down your spirit, to kind of calm down those moments when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling when you're fearing the unknown, which is perfectly fine. We can't really run away from fear, but right now what we're trying to do is reach out to the love part, right? So hopefully this kind of little bit of a tip helps you, especially if you're dealing with that anxiety. Get some frankincense resin, get a little charcoal disc, light the charcoal disc, put your resin in there and just burn it. So you could also use it to clear your space. Just know that charcoal discs get really, really hot. So if you're putting your resin in a burner, put that burner underneath a plate, and then with the plate go and cleanse your area. Like I said, frankincense is one of my most favorite resins to use, especially when I'm working with clients or myself on a time that we may find ourselves anxious, right? So a lot of breathing, a lot of grounding, and a lot of reminding yourself that at this very moment you are okay, right? So with that being said, hair talk today. Not much going on here. I did buzz my hair in the middle of the week, and I had let it grow out a little bit, and I was going to sport it natural, but no, that did not happen. There's a lot of grays there. I'm all about embracing the grays, but right now I'm having a lot of fun with the platinum buzz cut look. So I went ahead and bleached it again this Thursday. I did not leave it long enough to get it to the normal platinum color that I'm used to, but I've been using a shampoo. I think it's Gem Lights, and it's called something diamond. So far I haven't done, it hasn't looked like it's doing much of anything, so I will still stick to my Matrix purple shampoo, the brass off, because that is just my favorite at the moment. But other than that, buzzing is going to happen tomorrow again, redoing it again, and just keeping up with it. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now that we got that all out of the way, let's go ahead and shuffle our cards and take a look at the energy for March 16th to March 22nd. And what we're going to do, we're shuffling the cards, we're going to lay them down. And then we're gonna do 6 cards today. So instead of our 3 or 4, today we're going up to 6, right? So we start off with the first card. Now, the first card that we see kind of gives me a little bit of chills because it kind of goes with the collective energy that we have outside right now, which is fear, which is anxiety. So as you can see, an energy that we're going to be working with next week is the energy of separation. Now, when we get separation, this is the energy of like the sadness that's within, right? Almost kind of like this yearning, like feeling unsure about the future. So, I mean, if we were going to choose a card to describe what we're feeling, it's pretty amazing that we got separation. Now, separation is the card that does guide us to work more closely with ourselves, with our spirit. So, this is the card that says, let's stop looking for peace around us. Let's stop looking for balance around us. Right now, it's a time that we got to find this within us. If I find my balance and my inner peace within me, then I'm able to kind of project this to my environment. So as you can see, meditation is, I know that I've been called a meditation police for at least 15 years, but meditation is very necessary at this time. Now, the next one that we see is the card that says, I like you. Now, when we see this card, it's basically about allowing ourselves to bloom and remembering that we're not these delicate flowers. We're not these flowers that have to bloom at this time of being in a delicate garden. We are warriors. We will bloom whether it's in a beautiful garden or whether it's in the cracks of the sidewalk. So when we see I like you, is allowing yourself to bloom in your own way, to bloom at your own time. Stop comparing yourself to those around you and really embrace your journey for what it is. Now, the next one that we see is called wedding bell rings. Now, wedding bell rings, even though we may be thinking, oh, a wedding, the way these cards speak is a whole kind of metaphor, a metaphoric, is that a word? Way. So what we see here is next week is very important to work with our soul connection, right? To work with those promises that maybe we've made ourselves that we put in the back burner. When we see this card, it's all about really connecting with our inner spirit. So far 3 cards have told us it's all within. So we're seeing the collective saying right now, let's go within, let's check within, let's work with ourselves from the inside and then focus on the outside. Now, the next one that we see is seduction. So this card kind of says to you, make sure you're acting in moderation. Ironically, right? So what we see here is do not fall into temptation. Right now, it's not a good time that if somebody shows up and says, you can buy this huge amethyst cathedral for $2 and I'll give you, 5 pounds of amethyst. And we're just like, yes, so right now, it's kind of reading the fine print right now is, even though something sounds too good to be true, but your gut is saying do not trust this, please trust your gut at this time. You definitely want to be careful with any temptation, anything that has to do with your acting out of emotion, or anything that has to do with not having moderation. Next week, moderation is going to be a top priority. So finding grounding and making sure that you're not acting like at the moment, because a lot of times we can regret that later. Now, the next one that we see is the sword and the rose. When we see the sword and the rose, this is going to be a week where we do have that little bit of a fog because we're feeling uncertain about certain things, but at the same time, we're going to have moments of truth. We're going to have moments of clarity. We may have revelations, right? And this is honoring that energy, honoring that force, working with your protection energy, working with your inner power. What the sword and the rose is remembering that everything is transcending. So that moment of feeling fogged up and in fear will not last forever. It might be followed with a moment of a lot of revelation and a lot of clarity. So what do you need to do? Just be in the moment, right? Do not waste that energy on thinking, man, I wish I felt like this every day. Do the best that you can, right? But just make sure that this is not you're not just going to be in fear and you're not going to be anxious And this is the new thing. You're going to go through your ups and downs. Why? Because we're beautiful humans. That's why, right? So expect next week a few moments of clarity, of truth, of revelation, and allow yourself to run with that. Now, the next card that we see here is the twin flame cards. So this is all about our yin and yang. This is all about our zen, about our solar energy and our lunar energy. You will have days that you're running all on logic. I need facts. I am going to overthink and overanalyze. And then you will have moments that your lunar side is coming. You're going with your intuition. You're going with your compassion. You're going with nurturing. So what we see here is working into bringing them both in balance. If I'm only running on solar energy, and I'm not allowing my lunar to come through, I become over analytical. I become way judgmental. I become almost obsessed. But if I'm running then on lunar energy and I'm not allowing my solar to come through, I become over emotional. I become almost frozen because of all the energy that I'm feeling. So twin flames is literally bringing both energies to balance, right? And basically, this is all about understanding that my solar completes my moon completes my solar. If we see that, the sun without the moon without the sun wouldn't even be, right? So as you can see, the cards for next week are very, very in tune with the energy that we are feeling. Now, when we take a look at the cosmos for the week of March 16th to March 22nd, this is an action-packed week with spring knocking at the door, 2 sign changes and 2 separate conjunctions that center energy in different directions. The first seasonal change of the year occurs Thursday, March 19th, when the sun moves into Aries, bringing a bundle of energy and excitement that marks the first day of spring, right? So happy birthday, Aries. Your time is coming up soon. Now, this is also called the spring equinox because it's one of the 2 days a year when light and darkness are in balance. Now, you want to use this special day to check on the balance point in your life. I love this because we saw balance a lot on our cards of the week. Now, during the next month, when the sun is on the sign of Aries Ram, you'll have to access to a surplus of courage and adventure spirit and a love of new beginnings. This is the ideal time to take a leading role, even if it's not usually your style. Now, Mercury's short venture into Aquarius ends on Monday, March 16th, when it returns to Pisces until the middle of April. Now, communications have been more confusing than usual this year. Oh yeah, with Mercury in emotional Pisces for an unusually long time. Would be a time of 2.5 months, right? And that is unusual. Now, Saturn makes a major sign change on Saturday, March 21st, as it shifts from Capricorn's old school traditions to future forward Aquarius. Now, Saturn in Aquarius is especially important to millennials born between 1990 and 1992 because this will mark their first Saturn return. So Saturn will return for a temporary tour of Capricorn in July and re-enter Aquarius in December for the next 2 to 3 years, right? So Mars also in Capricorn makes 2 once-a-year conjunctions this week that have very different effects on energy levels. So a positive Mars-Jupiter conjunction on Friday, March 20th combines confidence, enthusiasm with courage and bravado, which makes it easy to take action and start something new. So success is certain if you remember that Jupiter, the gas giant and largest planet in the solar system, lives by the rule that too much is never enough. Now, the second conjunction, this is the one that we want to be careful with because it kind of brings this dangerous once-a-year Mars-Pluto meeting on Sunday, March 22nd. And it brings power struggle, ruthlessness, and maybe even people acting in a very deep, moody, and violent way. So you want to definitely take action on Wednesday and do your best to stay away from conflicts on Sunday. So Sunday, Friday, we may feel like we are owning the world, like we are ready for everything, like we are the fool in tarot going to take a leap. Here comes Sunday and we may feel like we are just lost and confused and everybody's being mean. So Sunday would be a day to just make it a self-care day. If you can avoid anything that day, that would be great. If you can't do that, then carry around your selenite, carry around your black tourmaline, or even do a meditation with labradorite for a good 20 minutes. And that will actually recharge and protect your energy for the next 12 hours. So So there's everything, there's so many things that we can do to make this the best time, right? So basically, I know that we all will have an amazing, amazing week. Right now, remember to schedule your readings. I am completely booked until the middle of July, which I am so thankful for. Right now, all readings are $35. They're all recorded, so they're like this, except we use a professional camera and we lower the camera so you can actually see your whole entire reading from beginning to end. I have over 20 years of experience, and basically everyone, the thousands of people that scheduled readings with me for the last over 2 decades will tell you it may seem like a long wait, but it will be worth it. Also, make sure that you sign up for our newsletter. And every week we tend to put out 2 to 4 new candles. So I hope that everybody here has an amazing week. Lots of love and light to you all. I love you, and blessed be. Bye-bye.